players that are on the bubble, and he sticks out like a sore thumb. Doug Betters, the NFL Defensive Player of the Year only a few years ago, is in there trying to make this ball club.
Mike Smith is in the secondary, 25. Donovan Rose, 26. Hobley, 29. His pass is incomplete. Off the fingertips of Reggie Bynum. Bynum, the rookie from Oregon State. Clock stopped with 10 minutes remaining to be played in this game. Miami led 20-7 at halftime. Right now, 34-17. Second down and 10 from the 33-yard line. A little delay to Harmon. Harmon up the sideline, got the first down. He was bumped out of bounds at about the 43-yard line. A pickup of 11. Donovan Rose, 26 there, ran him out of bounds. Harmon, this fella has got a lot of ability. He can pick him up and lay him down.
Nice blocking at the point of attack, as you saw Gray, 58, being trapped inside.
Bob, I'm reminded that you mentioned Bob Baumhauer earlier, the 5-time All-Pro. He is still unsigned, and he says he's retired, but they're not willing to go along with that at the moment. The Dolphin people, it'd be interesting to see what happens with that story.
No question.
Gelbaugh, and incomplete down at the 48-yard line as he was going for Bob Williams, the tight end, number 84. Mike Smith had the coverage, number 25. Baumhauer has said now that he's going to retire. And he's quoted in the papers here today about that.
They're in the middle of a contract dispute. Bob has not played the last 2 years. He was very highly paid previous to that. And I think the Dolphins are wanting for him to come back and play at a reduced figure and see just how good he is. And I like Bob, and I think he's a heck of a guy, but I think their philosophy and their thinking is pretty sound on that subject. And,
Ronnie Harmon carrying it again, and he picks up about 4 yards. He has 5 carries now for 26 yards. I mean, clock is running with 9.5 to play.
If Baumhauer can still play and can produce, I mean, he hasn't played for 2 years, and when he did play last year, he was slowed by that injury. So as we look at Kolick going off.
And Tom Pidgeon is in the game now, number 94, the rookie from Syracuse, replacing him. Gelbaugh to the far sideline, complete. Catch made by Harmon. Harmon has 2 touchdowns in preseason play. Donovan Rose, 26 on the coverage over there. Pickup of 10 yards on the play, and here's a low-level view of this young quarterback picking the ball up and getting the throw off.
Well, he's probably in there with all the second-teamers, and you're not going to get good snaps all the time when the guy's nose tackle's beating on the center's head. He's more worried about that 280-pounder on his head than he is that little ball getting back to that quarterback.
1st and 10 at the 42-yard line of the Dolphins. They lead at 34-17. That's Harmon again, finding good running room up the middle. He gets down to the 36-yard line. Number 29, Lifford Hobley, made the stop. Hobley, originally a Pittsburgh draft. Gets 7 yards here.
Little 99 was moved out pretty well. Betters was chasing it from the backside.
Hobley, a young man who played for Bill Arnsparger at LSU, free agent. Had a try with St. Louis after being drafted by the Steelers. 2nd and 3 at the 35. And a first down and a lot more. Ricky Porter. Here's quite a story. This young man, number 26. Porter, a free agent, second-year man, just picked up 13 yards. Originally drafted by the Lions in '82. Porter, out of legendary Slippery Rock. He played for Montreal in the CFL and for Memphis in the USFL. Of course, the Montreal franchise, the Alouettes, went belly up in the CFL. They're out of business. First down at the 23. Pretty good drive. Gelbaugh at the controls. And here's a problem for Porter. And he might have gotten about a half a yard or a yard on the play, as there was nothing for him up front. Tom Pidgeon, number 94, made the tackle.
Jay, we just received word that Kolick is going to the locker room to have his right elbow x-rayed. So the list of the injured continues to grow.
Stevenson, Green, Kolick, Turner. All with some physical problems coming out of this one. Young lady enjoying herself tonight. Hope you are. This one across the middle, a fine catch by Reggie Bynum. Bynum is a good-looking rookie, very quick, and Gelbaugh put this one right on target to him.
Play action as you see the guards pull. Short set. Right on target. There's nothing you can do to that pass. The corners or the safeties aren't going to defend that one. If a linebacker happens to get in between the receiver and the quarterback, that's your only chance.
1st and 10 at the 11-yard line. Gelbaugh handing it off to Harmon. And Harmon hurdles down to the 7-yard line. A pickup of about 6 on the play. George Little, 99. Along with 97, John Boza. Boza getting a good bit of playing time tonight for a young man who's just signed.
He ran his gassers the other night in the dark by the headlights as we take another look at it. Then the next morning he got up and he ran his 12-minute run. And then later that morning he ran gassers again. His biggest concern is his legs.
Harmon, no gain on the play, maybe a loss of a yard. Fine play by Rick Graff. Graff, the rookie, number 2 draft choice, did an excellent job there. 5 minutes and 40 seconds to play.
There's Boza. By what I mean by his legs is that you always have tired legs when you first come into camp. When you have 2-a-days or whenever you get back, you always have problems with your legs. Now, some of these guys have been there long enough that they've recovered. Boza hasn't, so I'm sure that he's got the tired legs right at this point.
3rd and 5. Trumaine Johnson set in the slot to the right side. Gelbaugh throwing. He completes it. Ronnie Harmon took it and got to the 4-yard line. Coming up to make the play, Mike Smith, number 25, right there.
Little pick here. Watch the other receiver. See him crossing? Now that's legal, but the idea is cross your 2 receivers so that the defensive backs will have to cross with you, and maybe one of them will get picked off in all the traffic.
Let's credit Lippert Hobley with more of the tackle on that one than Mike Smith, and here comes a try for a field goal from 22 yards out.
You got to think this may be a fake.
This might be a fake. Yes, sir. Norwood. Well, he's going to kick it. I guess they wanted to get some points after a very good drive, and it was encouraging for them to at least put 3 on the board. 4:27 remaining. Miami 34, Buffalo 20. Comedy comes to Channel 6 this fall when Michael J. Fox stars in Family Ties. That's every weeknight on WCIX Channel 6. Well, the Buffalo Bills go 74 yards in 16 plays. The field goal for Scott Norwood. And we have 4:27 remaining to be played. Miami leading it 34-20. Mr. Greasy, this will be your last pro football game for quite a while. Good luck over at ABC with all your college games. And
thank you, sir. I'll be doing
Keith Jackson, and hope you have a good year over there.
Your old friend and golfing partner. And
nice man.
Does Keith ever go to the track?
Well, not if he can play golf. I'm torn between the two on many occasions.
Keith doesn't like the ponies, huh?
It's wonderful that Calder is so close to Robbie Stadium. Stratford trying to get out of there. Look out, a fumble. And now a penalty marker goes down. And the Bills say that they have the football. And there was a lot of bumping and shoving going on down there. Mark Pike, 57, was there for the Bills, and they're going to get the football. The unofficial total yards to this point.
There's no foul on the play. Buffalo's ball.
Well, here is Mueller coming down the field.
Third-round draft choice of the Bills this year. Comes up and just knocks the ball.
Knocked that ball loose.
Loose is right.
Good pictures for you. Well, this is the third turnover for Miami, and each time the Bills have been able to come up with a touchdown. There's the total yardage. That is official, 335 to 71. First and goal at the 7-yard line. Kerry Porter got about a yard.
Well, Jay, when you talk about Troy Stratford tonight, you got to talk about the good news and the bad news. He's had 2 fumbles that have been recovered by the Bills. The other one was taken in for a touchdown, and this one certainly has that possibility. But the good news is he broke that long touchdown run on the kickoff, and he also caught a couple of big passes out of the backfield. So I'm sure the coaches are going to say more of the good, less of the bad.
Stan Gelbaugh quarterbacking the Bills. Second and goal to go at the 6. Gelbaugh throws incomplete. Intended for Bob Williams, the tight end, in the end zone. Clock stopped with 3.5 minutes to play. John Boza putting on pretty good pressure, and Gelbaugh had to get it away quickly. Play coming in from the bench as Walter Broughton, number 86, comes back in, and the Dolphins go into a stronger prevent defense as they send in Jackie Shipp and some first liners. There's Don Shula. Third and goal to go at the 6. Gelbaugh throws it away. Good pressure from big number 70, Brian Soche.
Well, it's 4th down. They're down 14 points, so I'm sure that Marv Levy will decide to go for it here.
I think he was going to talk it over. They're going to call timeout and talk things over at this point.
I was just going to comment, as we saw a look at Shula a little earlier, he was a little bit concerned. His defense last year was second last in the league in points allowed. So their defense 27th out of 28 teams, and I'm sure he's concerned about giving up any more points here tonight.
Bob, we mentioned Bob Baumhauer and his situation. We also should be reminded that Greg Cook has not signed on, and right now there are actually 60 on the roster, plus the 2 that are being still considered, Baumhauer and Cook. And by noon on Monday, that's got to be clipped to 45.
Well, Cook came last year from Green Bay. He was a free agent. He's a veteran, had played 10, 12 years in the league. The Dolphins were hurting in the offensive line. He was more of a stopgap thing for last year. I don't think they're willing to go out and pay him what he's asking. I think they'd rather go with their younger players. If something happens down the road, they may be interested in him. But those are the type of players that you're interested in for a stopgap thing and not necessarily to build your team on.
Let's remind you one more time that you'll get to go where no one has gone before when Star Trek, The Next Generation, comes to WCIX. That's beginning in October. Gelbaugh is 3 for 7, 20 yards. Don Shula looking on. 4th and goal to go at the 6-yard line for the Buffalo Bills. Gelbaugh throws, and it is incomplete, but the penalty marker is down. Intended for Bob Williams, the tight end, number 84, and we may have an interference call. No, wait a minute. It looks now what some of the Dolphins are saying the call will go against Buffalo. Let's see.
Pass interference, number 84.
It is charged against Bob Williams. Offensive pass interference. It'll be declined. Here it is, Bob.
Well, you won't see it from this angle. You'll see the pass protection. Gelbaugh looking around. The tight end was in the middle of the field and just ran right over to the ball. Was poorly thrown. But you see right there, it was Rose, 26, tight end to the right of your screen. What was that, Soche putting the pressure on him?
Yes.
And you see the official right there saw saw the play the entire way. That official, who's called the field judge, is supposed to look at the tight end only. So if anybody messes with that tight end, they're crazy, because you got one umpire, one official looking right at him.
3:18 to play. The handoff to Davenport. Davenport can't get anything going as Roland Mitchell comes up from the corner slot, number 25, to make the tackle, and we have 3 minutes left in this one. And the Dolphins are going to get away with a victory. They lead at 34-20. And the big news over the next 3 or 4 days will be how the folks who had the injuries tonight come back, and also what's happening regarding the 45-man roster by noon on Monday, and what's happening as the phones will be burning around the league, as there'll be lots of opportunities to do some business.
No question about that.
On second down, Davenport out to the 7-yard line. They bang it out in the trenches here with 2:20 left to play. The time of possession so far rather interesting. Buffalo 30.06, Miami 26.36. Fairly even in that department.
Jay, we mentioned that 15 players have to be cut down by Monday at noon. Shula has to make some tough decisions in some areas. He also has to find out about the injured players this evening. He'll also be on the phone talking around the league to maybe some teams that are interested in trading maybe a linebacker for some of the strengths that Shula has on his squad.
And with 2:21 remaining to be played, we'll take timeout for this. Miami leads at 34-20. Let's check in again with Walt Gray.
Jay, you're talking about getting down to the 45-man roster. I guess if you're a free agent or a rookie like Stanley Shakespeare and you haven't played in this game, you kind of get a little bit of a clue that come Monday you're not going to be around. So the former UM star probably will be released on Monday. Back to you.
Well, I'm sure he'll have a chance to watch a good football game coming up between Miami and Florida State.
Well, that's the other thing, Jay, that a lot of the cuts made on the last cut-down day, with the injuries that happen around the NFL the next 5 or 6 weeks, most of these guys will eventually be picked back up.
That's a good point. The handoff going to Troy Stratford. And Troy is out to about the 10-yard line. Darrell Talley, number 56, the linebacker, making the stop. And an opportunity for Reggie Roby, who hadn't punted, we'll remind you, all week until tonight because of a hamstring pull. He'll have a chance to punt. But first of all, we're going to get the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes remaining in this one. Miami 34, Buffalo 20. Reggie Roby will put it in the air. And there's someone familiar to folks in this part of the world.
Dwight Drain, University of Oklahoma and Miami Central High School. Dwight was a supplemental draft choice by the Bills last year. It was their #1 supplemental draft choice.
He was checking to see if everybody's on the field, wasn't he?
He was counting, I'm sure he was. I'm sure he's visiting a lot of family and friends here this Labor Day weekend.
Roby from his own end zone. Ron Pitts downfield. 2 punts, 34 yards. Did a good job of getting one inside the 15 tonight. And this is his best kick of the evening. Back at the 42. Pitts down at the 45-yard line. And a good play for the Dolphins on the specialty unit. 67, Chris Conlon down there. And Lippert Hobley, who's done very well tonight, number 29, is a 48-yard punt, 3-yard return, and as we mentioned, that was the best kick of the evening for Roby, who is, as you well know if you're a Dolphin fan, one of the premier punters in the game today. 1:50 to play. Reich over the middle. Incomplete down at the 35-yard line. He was trying to get it to Walter Broughton, number 86. Broughton, familiar to a lot of folks in this part of the world, played at Jacksonville. Number 70, Brian Sauché, coming off. And he got poked in the eye.
It's Dr. Ted St. Mary, one of the Dolphin physicians there with him.
Frank Reich is back at quarterback. And Reich is, I thought he was in the grasp, but he was. They are going to indicate that he was in the grasp at the 33-yard line, and one of the Dolphins shaken up. And it was John Boza back there, 97. He was a little slow getting up, the rookie. George Little, 99, also there. But apparently Boza's all right. Loss of a yard on the play. And the throw up the middle, intercepted. Coming back with it is William Judson. And Judson gets the interception. He's a fellow who started all 16 games in '86 and will start this season with 16 career interceptions. There's a penalty marker down.
Illegal substitution foul. 12-man defense.
Well, 12 men defensively. This play is going to come back. It looked to me like there was a lot of defensive backs back there. Judson makes a nice interception, a very poor run as he loses about 5 yards on his return.
Well, and they waved the play off as the Dolphins had a dozen on the field. And Boza now comes off, and he may have been the man who wasn't supposed to be out there. I don't know. Well,
whoever it was should go off at the end of the bench, because the man in the middle of the bench is going to be looking for you.
That's right. A minute and 16 left to play. 3rd down and 17. Reich out of the shotgun. Here is an interception at the 33-yard line. Coming up with it, Bud Brown. Brown, who has always been very tough against the run, comes away with that one.
You saw Bud just smiling a little bit. He says, I didn't do anything. I just stayed back there and just caught the ball. He overthrew everybody. All the defensive backs, the corners up short, were covering their man a lot tighter. He was kind of like a center fielder, a safety back there. He said, heck, I didn't do it. I just caught the football.
Ronnie Harmon, 33, on the tackle. The pass appeared, and I say appeared in parentheses, I guess, to be intended for him. At the 35-yard line, the Dolphins with the football with a 34-20 lead and 1 minute and 8 left on the clock. Don Strock quarterbacking the club. Attendance tonight, 66,236 on hand for this final preseason action. Don Smith making the stop on that last play, number 74, as Davenport carried. We now have 50 seconds remaining. When the Dolphins open the regular season here on September the 27th, you won't be able to find a seat anywhere here. They'll be jammed in here when the Dolphins and the Giants go at it.
Well, in fact, the Giants general manager, George Young, is here scouting the game for the Giants. He was formerly with the Dolphins, and he'll do a good job. He's done a great job for the Giants. It was voted last year or 2 years ago the executive of the year in the NFL.
Fine guy.
Just an outstanding job in bringing that Giant franchise together. They would have never won the championship were it not for George Young.
Davenport carried on that last play, and Smith and Messner make the tackle. We get some good news that there's no problem with Sauché, who got poked in the eye. He's all right. And this one comes to a close. The Dolphins finish the preseason 2-2. They were 2-2 last year. Marv Levy out on the field. His Buffalo Bills end the preseason play 1-3. He's got a lot of injuries. Two fine gentlemen shaking hands there, Marv Levy and Don Shula, as the Dolphins win this one 34-20. Sure, both units are looking forward to the regular season. We'll be back with some final thoughts right after this. Joe Robbie Stadium, the site of this final preseason action, and the 34-20 victory tonight for the Miami Dolphins. And Bob, certainly it was nice for the Dolphins to get the winner tonight, end up 2-2 in preseason. I was really impressed with the way the Dolphins ran the football, and I thought the defense again looked like they're on the improve.
Well, the only time they gave up, the defense gave up touchdowns was after the turnovers. And the last turnover that Stratford fumbled, the last one, they actually stopped him. So the defense played well for the most part, even though the scoreboard says 20 points. The offense played very well. Stratford and Hampton did some very good things. They also put the ball on the ground 3 times. I thought the kicking game was very good. Roby kicked well most of the night. Reves had 2 nice long field goals. He missed that. I think they got a lot of momentum going in to the opening of the season next week. The only problem they got and the only downside of the whole deal is the injuries, and that remains to be seen how serious they are.
And we'll know more about them in a few days, of course. I want to come back and talk with you about a very important issue in the National Football League, but before we do that, let's go down to Walt Gray.
Okay, Jay, in a game like this, it's kind of funny. You don't know. It's like the Philadelphia game last week. The Dolphins look so good, and looking at the scoreboard tonight, 34-20 Miami, and you wonder if we should go into the season with false optimism as far as being Dolphin supporters or whatever. The Dolphins picked by many to be about a 500 team this year. They finished the preseason at 500. But some encouraging things. The play of Don Strock tonight coming off the bench. He threw very well. You'd have to figure him to be the backup to Dan Marino. Of course, as you said, the running game was well. And, of course, the Dolphins defense playing much better, especially Glenn Blackwood, as I recall, in the early going. So it remains to be seen. Exhibition games are just kind of tune-ups. But it's nice to win the last 2 anyway. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Walt. And we've enjoyed, of course, always the opportunity to work with you. The major question that lies ahead for the National Football League right now is that threat of a player's strike, Bob. And I think probably nobody I know who I would rather ask about what his thoughts are regarding it. The last strike was a toughie. It seemed to me it took 4 or 5 years for the league, the players, the fans, and everybody to get back on target. We're going to have a strike?
I don't think so, Jay. I really don't think there's a strike issue out there. I don't think free agency is something that the players really believe they can get. I think it's a chip that they're going to use in negotiations. The owners would never let them get away with that. I think the roster size is going to be increased. Now, whether it goes to 49, I don't know, but that's something that the owners are willing to give in on. The coaches want it. The players want it. The owners, by the time you get all these injured players, the roster sizes are pretty big anyway. I don't think there's going to be a strike. I think there's going to be a lot of positioning going on. The owners have already said that they're going to play with scabs. They're going to bring back some of these players after they cut them if they do go out on strike and play. So they're posturing themselves for a strike. But I don't think that I think it's just a lot of talk, and I don't think we're going to see a strike this year.
I hope you're right, Bob Greasy, and certainly tonight a good win for the Miami Dolphins, 34-20. For Bob Greasy and for Walt Gray, from Joe Robbie Stadium, Jay Randolph saying so long.
Tonight's game was brought to you in part by Coors and Coors.